Hey there, my friend. Have you ever had a feeling deep down that something wasn't quite right or off? Maybe a relationship, a job, a business opportunity, a friendship. But instead of listening to it, you talked yourself out of it, you ignored it, only to discover later down the road that your intuition was right all along. If this has happened to you, the good thing is that you've already proven to yourself that you are actually intuitive. In fact, most people don't ignore their intuition because they lack intuition. They ignore their intuition because they lack confidence and trust in it. Today, I'm sharing insights as to why this happens and what you can do to begin strengthening your own unique intuitive intelligence. Let's begin by exploring the two biggest myths about intuition. Number one myth is that intuition is not real, it's not valid, it's not helpful, and maybe even misleading. The second myth is that it's a special gift that only psychics, healer, or spiritual people possess. But you've already experienced your own intuition, thinking of somebody before they call, feeling uncomfortable around someone you know later to discover that this person is dishonest or something like that, knowing a decision that wasn't right for you despite the logical reasons supporting it. The problem isn't receiving intuition. The issue is in trusting what you receive. Most people have far more intuitive experience than they realize. They simply dismiss them. So why do we learn to not trust our intuition? Many of us simply were conditioned to seek answers outside of ourselves. We were taught to trust authority, trust experts, trust data, trust the consensus, but rarely were we taught to trust our inner knowing, to trust your instincts, to trust your own experience. In Western culture especially, intuition is often treated as less valid than logic. Yet many of life's most important decisions cannot be solved through logic alone. Relationships, purpose, timing, major life changes, these things often require another form of intelligence, intuitive intelligence. So why is it that our intuition gets so easily overridden? Intuition has a frustrating characteristic to it. It rarely explains itself. It often arises as a knowing, a feeling, a nudge, an instinct that something is off, something isn't right. The logical mind immediately asks why. Intuition offers the guidance, and then the mind immediately wants proof. Because intuition lacks explanation, many people assume it can't be trusted. But if there's one thing I've learned in life for me as a lifelong super intuitive person who's been working as a professional psychic for 40 years, is that we don't need to know the why. I have learned in my life through going through this dilemma myself is that it's important for me to listen to my intuition even if I don't know why. And inevitably, the why always reveals itself down the road. Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever not listened to your intuition because you logically couldn't figure out why your intuition would feel a certain way, and then you chose to ignore it because of that, only for the issue to reveal itself later down the road that your intuition was right all along? Let's look at the 4 ways that we talk ourselves out of intuition. One is fear of being wrong. We worry about making a mistake, but often we really are afraid of what others will think of us. 2, we over-rationalize. The mind becomes a defense attorney. It creates endless explanations for why we should ignore what we are sensing. Everything looks good on paper. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm imagining things. Number 3, fear of discomfort. Intuition often asks us to face difficult truths. Maybe it's about setting a boundary, walking away from an opportunity, leaving a relationship, making the change. Ignoring intuition can allow temporary comfort. Listening often requires courage. 4, pressure. Sometimes our intuition disagrees with everyone else around you. The need for approval can become stronger than the desire to trust yourself. One of the biggest reasons people don't trust their intuition is that they confuse it with fear and anxiety. Fear tends to be loud, repetitive, urgent, emotionally charged, while intuition is calm, simple, direct, neutral. Fear argues, intuition informs. Fear spirals, intuition simply knows. The more self-aware you become, the easier it becomes to distinguish between the two. So how to strengthen your intuitive intelligence? The answer is not blind faith, it's building self-trust. Every time you notice and honor an intuitive nudge, even in a small way, you strengthen your relationship with your intuition. And it becomes easier to recognize and access. The more connected you are to yourself, the clearer your inner guidance becomes. Again, most people don't ignore their intuition because they lack intuition. They ignore it because they haven't fully learned to trust themselves. And in a world full of noise, confusion, false information, endless opinions, that may be one of the most valuable skills you can develop, because your intuition is the most trusted connection to your superconscious self, your higher self. Its function is to serve as a guide to the version of life that is most connected to meaning and purpose for you. Have you ever ignored your intuition and later realized it was right all along? What happened, and what did it teach you about trusting yourself?